we go out to Budapest, Hungary. Didn't know what was going on. Next minute, you see all these people, Bobby Moore, Michael Caine, Sylvester Stallone, Pele, Ozzy Ardiles, and all these people are in this movie. And the next minute, we're in all the scenes, and we were there for 5 weeks. And it was, as I say, we had a couple of lines. We thought we were just there to play football. We didn't realise we were in all the scenes and speaking parts and whatever. And it was the best 5 weeks, I've ever had.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the CSI Football Podcast, where we embark on a forensic delve into a particular season of football, usually with a tartan tint. I'm your host, Ian Stephen. And for today's episode, we meet a man who won the English League, the FA Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, the PFA Player of the Year. Hold on, I'm still going. Record for most goals in the UEFA Cup campaign. Young European Player of the Year. Played against Zico and Socrates in the World Cup, but was a teammate of Bobby Moore and Pele. But is his biggest claim to fame his legendary moustache? His former Scotland, Ipswich Town, and Liverpool defender, midfielder and attacker, John Wark. John, how are you, sir?
I'm all right. I'm fine. Enjoying myself as usual.
Good. Listen, settle perennial debate. What was your position? Because you played everywhere. Where did you want to play?
I think my best position is midfield, but I could play, as I say, I could play centre-back. And I ended up playing there at the end of my career because my legs gave way, at the end of that. But as I say, I enjoyed midfield, but I was mainly had to be a holding midfield player, but I still scored a lot of these goals, so people can't get their heads around that.
Well, you were not from East Anglia, let's be honest, you live here now, but your accent gives it away. Where were you born and brought up?
Yeah, I was born in Glasgow. I was, as I say, I was born in Partick, and I went to Scotland, and I left. I was playing for a boys' club team there, which was a real top team. It was from Chapel Amateurs, well known for players making it. And Ipswich Town had a scout in Scotland, and they came sort of looking at me, and then invited me down to Ipswich for a trial. Way back when I was 50.
Your boyhood club was one of the Glasgow big boys, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're either one or the other, and the team I supported was Glasgow Rangers. Yeah, but I've actually got a story about Glasgow Celtic if you want to hear that.
Of course we do.
Yeah, and it comes from I was playing for Liverpool at the time, and it was Tommy Burns' testimonial, and we played at Parkhead, and I think we actually won, and I done okay, and it was at the end of my career at Liverpool, and I go in the lounge after the game, and I bump into Billy McNeil, comes up to me, and I'm in awe of him because he was one of the best centre-backs, Scotland and Celtic ever had. So he actually said, "Do you fancy coming home, John?" And I says, "Yeah, I love home." He says, "No, to here." I went, "I can't." I says, "My family would disown me."
Was Celtic stiffing around you as a boy?
No, not as a boy. I just came out because they must have known I was sort of leaving Liverpool, and that's when they came.
So Bobby Robson was the Ipswich manager when you came down as a youth. What were your first impressions of meeting Bobby?
Basically, the first thing was just getting to Ipswich. I came down by bus from Glasgow, and it took me about 12 hours just to find this place. But when I met him, I could tell he was like a proper manager, and he was like a father figure, you know what I mean? And that's what actually worked out for me, how good he was on and off the field.
Is there any kind of favourite stories you've got on Bobby? Because players think very, very kind of warmly of him, but he could be quite eccentric for a man at times.
No, I was lucky. He was with me. I think he was a half-decent player, and he gave me my chance at 17. But as I say, I had problems. I lost my mum and dad at an early age, and as I say, it was round about when I was 21. And he was there for me off the field, you know what I mean? And it's, I'll never forget things like that, I know he gave him my debut at 17, but the things he did, so that's how I thought he was the best manager I've ever had.
Well, usually when a player reaches debut, the end of the season game doesn't matter right onto the last 10 minutes. That wasn't quite how you were thrown on football, John.
I couldn't believe it. I was actually playing in the youth team on a Tuesday night, and it was during the time the first team were playing Leeds United in the quarter-final of the FA Cup, and they had played Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday. So on the Tuesday, I'm playing for the youth team. We won the semi-final of the Youth Cup at Huddersfield, and the first team had drawn with Leeds. So they had to play another game on a Thursday. So I get a call that right after the game saying you might be needed with the first team. They've got a couple of injuries. And I thought, no chance. So I head to, it was at a neutral ground, and it was at Filbert Street, Leicester. So I head there, and on the Thursday morning, Bobby Robson comes up to me and says, "You're playing." And I went, oh my God. And the Leeds team then, not just the best team in England, but the dirtiest team. You know, they had Billy Brennan, Johnny Giles, Norman Hunter, Madeley, Clark, Joe Jordan. And I get thrown in at the deep end in that game.
Well, it wasn't just the best team in England, but you could argue a little bit one of the best in Europe at the time.
Yeah.
Hunter, McQueen, Gray, Brennan, Jordan, Lorimer, Jordan, Clark. Quite a few Scottish players, I think, in that team. Did you try and let them hear your accent early on so they'd give you an easy time?
No, I was just like a typical young boy, you know what I mean, nervous. And I was playing alongside Alan Hunter, who looked after me, thank goodness. But the thing I loved, it was at the end of the game because we won, but Billy Bremner come up to me at the end of the game and gave me a hug and all that. And I was just, because he was somebody I used to watch playing for Scotland. But if it wasn't for Alan Hunter, that game, because as I said, Leeds were dirty as anything. Joe Jordan headbutted me after 10 minutes, and I thought, welcome to the big time. But the worst thing was Alan Clark. He was nasty. He kept elbowing me and spitting in my face. And as he did that, I'll never forget, big Alan Hunter come up to him and says, you do that again to Warky, I'll break your effing leg. Never, and I never seen him again. He ended up going left wing. So Alan Hunter scared Alan Clark off.
When you got to the kind of end of your career, you were the season where you became skipper of the club.
Yeah.
Did you start taking young kids like that under your wing and keeping an eye on them?
I think I try to help them, the same thing, when I played till I was 39 and, a lot of younger ones who were playing, I would have a word with them and they'd take notice, but a lot of them didn't see me a lot. At the end of my career, I didn't train a lot. I just played the games, you know what I mean? That was the way I got away with things from, different managers, because I said I'll be all right when it matters.
Well, when you're down in your own foreign kind of country, essentially, in Ipswich for Glaswegian, and then a pal, and when you're older than you had a fellow Scotsman and George Philly, did the two you kind of bond quite quickly?
Oh, you have to, yeah. You need people who have been there, and as I said, there was a couple of other youth team players, Scottish as well, who they didn't make it, and I was the one that did make it. So George was there, and you just play off each other. And ever since, we've been great mates. And you can look at Alan Brazil as well. He was a year younger, and I'd done the same with him when he first arrived, And even now, me, him and George are still close. We all still live in Ipswich, or the Ipswich area.
Are you allowed by law to share any stories of Alan Brazil?
No, I think the funny thing, Alan's a real top mate of mine, and he's the same thing. You're either a Rangers fan or a Celtic fan from Glasgow. He's a Celtic fan, so we have a lot of banter, but we still keep in touch, and it's we like a few drinks now and again, and he always gets in touch with me, and when he's in touch with me, I'm there waiting for him.
Well, it begs the question then, if you're Rangers, Brazil, Celtic, who did Burley support?
Do you know the funny thing? I don't think he supported Celtic or Rangers because he was from Ayrshire. So I think he just supported, to be on the safe side, he supported Ayr.
Well, actually, they alienated all the Kilmarnock fans, so I'm sorry about that, George.
Yeah.
But when you joined, there's a guy who would be a legendary figure, and Mick Mills, he was a club captain. He's still fairly young, he's early 20s, I think, but he must have had an influence on you when you were kind of starting your football career.
Yeah, he did. Apart, as I say, I talked about Big Alan Hunter being an influence, but Mick Mills was our captain, and he's played for England, so you've got so much respect for him. He was a nice guy. He was a quiet guy. He wasn't as wild as a lot of us. A lot of us, we like a drink now and again, and we like to laugh and all that. But Mills, he was the one we took notice of when he sort of said things. We were there, you know what I mean, which you need to do when you've got a captain. And it proved how good he was, you know, because he played for his country for a long time as well.
Talking about played for your country, you got a call up in 77 and you were still pretty ill, but kind of injury got in the way and you couldn't make the squad. Was that a kind of first kind of sense of how cruel football can be sometimes?
Yeah, I think you know that yourself. You know, as you know, if you've got injuries, you're not going to get picked for the. You're not going to be ready for the team, and that happened to me at the beginning of the Scotland career, and even at the end. At the end, I had injuries with, you know, Liverpool and, you know, the 80s, you know, late 80s, and that's why I didn't probably play as many games for Scotland. But another reason why I didn't play as many games for Scotland, in my opinion, I was played out of position. You know, they played me on right side midfield when everybody knows I'm a centre midfield, you know, and that didn't happen because we had so many good centre.
I mean, you obviously went on to score a lot, play a lot, scored a lot of times for Scotland, but I mean, the dream was for Scotsman to score against England. But let's be honest, that takes a while in your international career. There's no way you could manage to score against England in your first week of being a full international, surely.
Yeah, but I wish I did. You know, I did it at Wembley, you know what I mean? And the thing is, I always say my granny could have scored it, you know, it was right on the line, it was at Wembley. And there was a cut back by Kenny and I tapped it in, but I still don't like talking about it, but because we lost the game, we lost to England, you know, but as I say, scoring for your country and especially against England is a big thing, but I would have rather have won the game as well.
I suppose it's different if you're a player that goes back to Rangers or Celtic or Aberdeen after the squad. It's disappointing, but if you're one of the guys like Liverpool or Ipswich, it's a different scenario coming back to training after losing the all winning.
Yeah, you come in and just, you can, you know, we used to do it when I joined Ipswich, you know, we had the Scottish ones and the English ones, and we used to play each other in five-a-sides and kick lumps at each other, but we were teammates, you know, you never forget it, you know, you always remember Scotland, you know, where you're from, and never forget things like that.
Well, the 77-78 season was a very kind of strange one in Ipswich's terms, because it was a season where you guys were battling against relegation, but you also made the cup final. I don't know if that's one of the kind of cliches in football, that teams that are battling relegation, they take a holiday in the cup and they enjoy it and they get to the final, but you ended up winning the cup the first time in history.
Yeah, that was. I always say, out of everything I've done, that was one of the best because it was the first. You know, you win the FA Cup. Everybody always watches the FA Cup way back then and televised, you know, all over the world as well. And as I say, we had so many injuries. You didn't do well in the league, but in the cup games we seemed to be at it. And to beat Arsenal, who were big favourites, you know, was a fantastic result. And the thing was, we could have won a lot more. We could have won about 4 or 5. That was, you know, I hit the post twice, Paul Mariner hits the crossbar, the keeper's done great saves, and we score a goal in the 12 minutes to go and win 1-0, but we could have, you know, beaten them, you know, by 3 or 4.
Let's be accurate here. It wasn't just the keeper, it was Pat Jennings, the best ever. I mean, it's difficult to beat him any kind of time, but he's not going to let it in on the cup final. But they also have the guys like Pat Rice, O'Leary, Willie Young, Bernie, Sunderland, McDonald, Stapleton. It was a tough Arsenal side he beat. So the question is, you're from a kind of provincial club, actually. She's not one of the big clubs. It's the equivalent of like Kelly winning the club in Scotland.
Yeah.
What happens to the town? What happens to you when, for the first time in history, to win the cup?
For that to happen, it was, what got me was on the way, you know, after we stayed the night and the Saturday, and then the Sunday we head back to Ipswich, and then suddenly all these people suddenly turn up, all the fans, and I was never used to that, you know what I mean? And when they turned out, the whole town just followed the bus with the trophy and all, and that, you never forget that. And then you get to the town hall and you're out there with the trophy, and all these people are, you know, the whole town nearly came out that day, and it was just, and a lot of them never forget it because it was the first. I know they won the cup way back they won the league in early 60s, where, you know, but the FA Cup was such a fantastic. And to beat Arsenal the way we did was great.
Well, that allowed you entry into Europe.
Yeah.
In 79-80, you played against Grasshoppers in the UEFA Cup. It was, you ended up being knocked out of the league goals, but the momentum spread from that cup win. So from relegation candidates, you ended up doing incredibly well in the league that season.
Yeah, I think it changes. To be fair, when the year of 78, we weren't, we had loads of injuries and we didn't have a big squad, and that's why we didn't do well in the league. It was just, the cup. But the next season we done better. But then Bobby was thinking about changing the team, making changes because he knew, things weren't as good as he wanted it to be. And that's when he, the following year, I think it was, they brought in the Dutch players and changed the system.
How did the Dutch players come and change? Because that would be Frans Thiessen and Arnold Buren.
Yeah.
How did the system change that?
Well, the change, because when we normally played, it was a 4-4-2, but this time we played 4-3, and then we played 1-2, as in Eric Gates played off the front two of Brazil and Mariner. But I was the holding midfield player with these two Dutch players, Thiessen and Muren, and it was a joy to play with these two. I always talked about them, that like Frans Thiessen I used to give the ball to for a rest because nobody would take it off him. He was that good. And Arnold Muren had a left foot like a wand. And when he had that left foot, I used to say to him, just put it where, I always said, I'll have a volley or a header, and he'd put it straight on. It's just the way it was. But so it's a privilege to play with these two. But my first job was holding midfield player, then get in the box and try and score goals, which I did.
Yeah, so you're rubbish at holding midfield, but did you get 18 goals? You clearly weren't doing your job.
Yeah, well, it's just the way we were quite an attacking team, you know what I mean? As I say, I was only the defensive one out there, all the other sort of 5 players.
And you were friends well in Brazil, but he finished with 1 goal less than that season. Was it a wee bit of a competition to see who could finish in top?
It was at the
81, I think. He had 18, he'd 17.
Yeah. That was in the league, but I think if you go for the total of the whole season, then you realise I got more than that.
Well, I mean, the 18-81 season, it started off so well. You beat Leicester, you beat Brighton, draw with Stoke, beat Everton, beat Villa, beat Palace, beat Coventry, beat Wolves. You were going absolutely great guns that season. And then when you got into March, April, kind of hit a wall, and there was a lot of losses. Do you think it was because the club was doing so well in other competitions that the Kimber peaks out?
Yeah, I think it was a mixture of the squad we had, because we got injuries as well that season. Big Brazil, Butch got suspended as well, and our goalkeeper and Thiessen. We had about 4 or 5 who missed a lot of games. And you can't afford that when you're playing the level we did, because we played 42 games and then we had another 14 in all cup competitions. I think the total games we played was 66 games, and we lost the league by 4 points. And Aston Villa played 46 games. They won the league playing, which is incredible. You know what I mean? So I think that was the main difference, was us getting injuries and playing more games, and the team that won the league.
Of course, that was the team that won the league went on to win the European Cup as well. It was we are talking about English football being like the pinnacle of the European competitions at that point. Let's talk about Europe, shall we? Because it was fun.
What's that?
Let's talk about Europe. It was fun.
Yeah.
So the first round, Aris Salonika, dispatched fairly comfortably, at least at home. I think it says a misprint. It says Wark 4 goals, 3 of them penalties. Right, sure.
That's right, yeah. That's how every home game, I think, I scored in I think it was all the home games. But to start, and my mother-in-law then was from Greece, so I knew a few of the words and all that in the tunnel, which went down when I was talking to the opposing team. But to play against them and score, he won 5 and scored 4, and I got 3 penalties, so, and I always thought when I got up any penalty, it was a goal. and luckily, I put them in different places in the goal and got a hat-trick of penalties and scored another one, yeah.
So to get 3 penalties, the question has to be, who was it that was diving for you in the box?
Do you know who always... It's Eric Gates. Eric Gates played off the front too, and he was one of them, when he was near the penalty area, he used to go one way and then go the other, and he used to get clicked all the time, and it was down to him how I got all these penalties. And as I say, I'm glad he kept doing it, because I scored most of the penalties, yeah.
You made a point here about talking to the City players in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with Sky, the carousel way, and the players always shake hands and a wee hug. Was it completely different back in the 70s?
Yeah, people used to, start swearing at players and telling them what they're going to do to them on the field. It used to happen a lot, and it happened, a lot of players in our team, like Hunter and Beattie and Paul Mariner, they used to go up, try and square up with the centre-backs and say, you're going to get this when you go outside, just to try and scare them off. But it was just good banter, and usually now and again it did happen, things did happen on the field, but you were allowed it then.
Well, the next time was Bohemians Prague, again, U2 at Portman Road, and it was a trip to Portugal, a trip to Poland, to play VJ's and Lodges.
Yeah, lots of.
Hat-trick again by Wark.
Yeah.
Just can't stop scoring.
No, I was just, honest, every game I was just, I seemed to score in most games, especially the home ones. It was like, we actually won the tie, most of the ties from the many goals we scored in the first leg at home, you know what I mean? So that's how we went all that way. We had our strongest team out, and because I say, we thought if we scored 3 or 4, then the tie is more or less over.
We're looking at Portman Road right now. Is it a boisterous atmosphere for one of the European ties were on?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it was a full house, and that's when people were standing and used to sway about and all that. And at Europe games, you're playing all these top teams, and when you're beating them, not just beating them by the odd goal, you're beating them, 3 or 4, you know what I mean? And that used to happen. And so I think a lot of teams were scared of us before they even came out, and I think that's how good we were.
Well, you played St Etienne in the qualifying. You're talking about a club that were in the 70s, they were a huge league European football, and 4-1 and then 3-1.
That's scary. I talk about the 4-1 game because I think they hadn't lost in 30 games at home, you know what I mean? They've got Platini, Johnny Rhett, Larios, famous French international players. And we go there, and I've actually got to tell this story before the result, and this is a true story. We actually got there on the kick-off was the Wednesday. We get there on Tuesday, and we do a bit of training. And then Bobby Robson says to us, you've got the afternoon off, you can go shopping. This is the day before the game. So we actually, 6 or 7 of the team, we go and shopping, but we don't go shopping. We find a little boozer. This is a true story, and we didn't go stupid. We only had 5 or 6 pints, which you shouldn't have any, right? So we get back to the hotel, and Bobby Robson realises, he can smell the drink, but he says, you're fined 2 weeks' wages. So we're like, oh, how are we going to pay the mortgage? All panicking. So we get to the game, St Etienne, and, as I say, full house, they've not lost. And the game gets going, and they go 1-0 up, right away. Johnny Rep, I think, scored. We scored 4 goals, and I got one of them, 1-4-1. We get it back into the dressing room at the end of the game, and Bobby Robson goes, forget the fine, boys. And the other 4 go, what fine? He says, Bobby goes to them, well, while you were shopping, they 7 were having a few drinks. So that's a true story. We went and beat St Etienne 4-1, and then we beat them at home 3-1, which was to beat a team 7-2 who the players they had, and they hadn't lost and whatever, and we go and do that.
And you had to take on Cologne in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
They were a huge club at that point as well. I think John Woodcock was playing up front. This seemed to be more a disciplined European performance, 1-0 wins in each leg. Is that how Bobby set you out?
Yeah, it was, because they were one of the hardest. We knew they were, the German teams I have to beat, and this Cologne were playing well at the time, and it was a real hard game. So we were happy with just the win, and as I said, but then to go back to their place and then beat them again, it just shows you what sort of players we've got.
Which takes you to the final. And in those days, it was 2-leg, home and away.
Yeah.
AZ Alkmaar. And it was a reasonable first leg, 3-0 win, yourself with another penalty.
Yeah.
Was there any risk that you were thinking job done before we go in the away leg?
I don't think, that's what people think, because, you look at the score, but the first leg at home, we played really well, and they weren't really in the game at all. So I didn't. But when we went to their place, the tactics that got me was like, they just played two at the back. They actually went for it. They went all out attacking, which you have to do in that case. And then in the end, they were three. Luckily, we got goals over there, and it was 5-4 in aggregate, I think it was. But we were actually quite lucky in the end, because it was like the Alamo. We were hanging on at the end in the second half, but for a team to go like that, you've got to be such, I've never seen a team play like that with just two defenders and the rest all attacking.
Well, the full-time whistle goes, you're back in the dressing room. What happens? What happens when you win at the UEFA Cup away from home like that?
Well, it's just, we were, we didn't know we were going to win anything else, so it's the first, our team, in my opinion, we should have won the treble, in my opinion. But the thing was, to win in Europe the way we did, we played in all different countries. I think it was at 6 different countries or 5 different countries, and we beat most of the teams quite comfortably, apart from the actual final game at Amsterdam. But I just showed you the team we had. We had a fantastic team, but the problem was we didn't have a big enough squad. If we had a squad of, I don't know, nearly 20 players or whatever, we only had a squad of 16, and we, as I said, played 66 games and won the UEFA Cup, came second in the league, and get beaten in the semi-final of the FA Cup. How can you do that with, a squad of 16?
For you, how did winning the UEFA Cup compare to the FA Cup?
It was so up there with, because you've won a trophy. I always think the FA Cup, as I said earlier, was the best one because it was the first one. But to win the Europe the way we did, and beating all these different countries, and beating them quite comfortably, I think probably it's a better performance as such, because the FA Cup was just a one-off game as such. But to win all these games the way we did, it showed you what sort of team we had.
Well, the 81-82 season, drove back in the UEFA Cup again. I've made sure there's suitable distance between us before I ask this question.
Yeah.
They took on Aberdeen.
I know.
And I think one of the previous seasons, Liverpool absolutely rashed Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Was there any risk that Ipswich did take Aberdeen as seriously as they should?
I didn't. I took it seriously because, I'm Scottish and you don't want to get beat with, Aberdeen or whatever. And yeah, but fair play to them. They deserve to win at Aberdeen. They deserve to. It was a draw. They deserve to beat us, to be fair. And, like I say, Stratton was there, Willie Miller, McLeish, all the Jim Leighton. They were all there who I played with Scotland. But for me, they deserve to win. We just weren't at it. And that happens in some occasions.
Was that your first ever interaction with Alex Ferguson?
I think it was, yeah, Alec. But as I say, Alec actually used to come and watch us train because he knew Bobby Robson, and he came and he learned a lot from Bobby Robson. I remember my way back in the early days, because he knew Bobby Robson was one of the best managers. And I remember when I was younger, when I first, when I first came to Ipswich, and it just shows you he did learn loads from Bobby.
Well, 1982,
Yeah.
the World Cup in Spain, and you could see Scotland had draw. It wasn't too bad compared to 86. That was terrible. But first game was against New Zealand.
Yeah.
And you set a record that's never been broken. You're the only Scotsman to score more than one goal in a game at a World Cup finals. It was fairly convincing 5-2 victory. So, first of all, what's it like to actually receive the phone call that says, John, pack your boots, you're going to the World Cup?
I thought I had a chance, you know what I mean, because, you know, the way I've been playing, you know, for my club, you know, in 81. But to get in a World Cup, you know, in Spain, it's just, you're so up for it. And then to see the actual group, you know, you've got Brazil, you know, with just playing Brazil, we knew New Zealand would be fine, and Russia were a decent, you know, top team as well, and we'd done all right then. But but it wasn't just that. I think when you're picked for your country, you just want to do well and you want to win, you know, and that's the way I was when I get picked for every game. But the World Cup was something you dream about, and I was lucky enough to play against these top teams.
Jock Steams, the manager of Scotland.
Yeah.
How did he differ in his approach to football from Bobby Robson?
He's the only manager, I think, where players were scared of him. You know what I mean? He sort of had this presence about him when he came in the room and everybody was silent. You know what I mean? But he just seemed, you know, as a great manager. But, you know, as I say, I'm saying I didn't get a lot. He never played me in my right position a lot, but I'd play anywhere when you play for my country, you know what I mean? And as I say, but I would always say he was one of the ones that most players were scared of.
You wonder why he didn't play Strachan more out on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I know.
Strachan played right side for Aberdeen, but so you know what it's like in Scotland. You win a game and you go, that's it, you're winning.
You won in Cup, yeah, exactly.
We line up against Brazil, and David Neri produces one of the most unbelievable moments in World Cup history. What was it like to be on the pitch watching David Neri's fantastic goal unfold?
Well, luckily I was still part of the actual move. You know what I mean? I think if you remember right, you know, Suey gets it deep and he pings a ball. I'm right side again. He pings it to me, and I've headed it down to David Neri, who's overlapping from right back, and he chests it down and smacks it in. But the funny thing, I always wind up when I meet David Neri, when I've met him, you know, in the past, he didn't know how to celebrate because he never used to score. And he's like, actually, put your hands up and just run about. But it was one of the best goals I've seen. And the thing was, like, we scored, you know, we scored first, and basically we got them annoyed, you know, and they came at us and they were unbelievable in the second half. You know what I mean?
Was there sympathy for poor Alan Roth that basically just became a passenger to some of the goals? I mean, you're up against players like Junior, Falcao, Socrates, Zico, Eder.
That's what it was like. You were just in awe of them, you know, you try to get close to them. But another reason for, I always say this, the weather, it was so hot out there, you know. I remember the sort of national anthem when we were singing it, and our tops were ringing, and it's just standing. So we thought, what we're going to be like when we run about in this pitch, because it was so, I think it was about 100 degrees or something like that. But I'm not saying that suited Brazil, but it did. But for me, I've never seen a team, we couldn't get near them. But I've actually got a good story about the end of the game. Yeah, well, basically the final whistle goes and we lose 4-1. You know, they've scored, you know, 4 great goals as such. It could have been more, but, you know, we gave for all. The final whistle goes and you always try and swap shots with the best player. So the best player, in my opinion, was number 10, Zico. So as the final whistle goes, Kenny Dalglish goes over to Zico to get his shot, and Zico seems to fob him off, and that was it. And then the next minute, Alan Hansen, he jogs over, and that was the nearest he got to him. And Zico thing with him. So then Zico actually starts walking towards me, and as he walks towards me, I think there's somebody behind me, but there wasn't. So I'll face him up, and he goes, swap. And I said, more or less, and I've went, you can have what you want. And the reason why it was because I was number 10. He collected number 10. So when I get back into the dressing room with the shirt number 10, I'm going, nah. And Dalglish and it was just, as I say, but then I gave the shirt away for a charity in Ipswich, and it made a lot of money. But that was one of the little things that came from that game.
Maybe there's a number 10 Scotland shirt that's hanging up somewhere in Brazil.
Correct. Yeah, but it's just a nice little touch.
Well, we still have a chance of qualifying.
Yeah.
Soviet Union were up next, and it was just Scotland.
Yeah.
And then Russia.
Yes.
So one player we should touch on, one of the centre halves for the Soviet Union was Sergei Boltachin, and he's going to become a teammate for you at Ipswich. We'll talk about him in a bit. But we scored 4 scores, and then everything collapsed. What was your recollection of an unfortunate meeting between Hansen and Miller?
I know. That shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen at that level, personally. You know what I mean? It's like, how can you get 2 players bumping into each other, and you've got to talk and say, this is my ball, your but whatever. But you shouldn't. It was like a Sunday morning goal, wasn't it? You know, you don't expect that. But as I said, I thought they were a decent team. You know, Soviet Union, they were a top team and the top players. But as I said, probably you can't afford to give goals like that away, or you never win games. But we were lucky we got a draw and we just sort of missed out. And then
it's kind of traditional Scotland kind of heartache is. How do you then get yourself up for the next season? Because there must be a lot of times you lose in football and you've got a next game on a Wednesday or Saturday and you pick yourself back up. Yeah. But you do that in the World Cup, and then there's 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
The next game, that must be. Yeah. And footballers don't sleep at night. They play everything back in their heads.
I think you either go one way or the other. You know, you just forget, write it out and go, get ready for when you're back again. You know what I mean? A lot of people talk about it and talk about the mistakes and whatever, but I'm one of them that just sort of forgets about it and get back to what I want to be doing for next year and then go from there. That's the way I've always been.
You didn't make any mistakes. John was not to worry about it. So, arguably the biggest club in Europe then started chasing after you. Yeah. So how did you move to Liverpool?
Cool. Well, basically it came because Bobby Robson became the England manager in 1982. So, and I thought, he's left Ipswich, and I thought, with him going, we had to buy a new stand or pay for it or whatever. So we needed to sell players to sort that out. And the reason why I left was because Bobby Robson went to be the England manager, and I couldn't see us being a force. So because we had to sell players, and in the end, a lot of our players went to different clubs. Alan Brazil went Man United, myself, Paul Mariner, Arsenal. And I was lucky enough to go. I wanted to win things because I couldn't see me winning things at Ipswich. And I was lucky enough to go to Liverpool.
Could Dalglish and Hansen and Souness play a part perhaps?
Well, I didn't speak to them, to be fair. I was just in shock that, Liverpool came in. But as soon as I got there, then it was like back home again. People could understand me, and it was a joy to join that club, because I went there to win things, and I win the treble. You know what I mean? It's like Christmas come early when you go to a team like that.
I think just after you signed, Liverpool made it to the European Cup final against Roma, didn't they?
Yeah, but I couldn't play then because I wasn't signed in time. But yeah, they went. That's when the penalty with Grobler won it. But I didn't play then because I wasn't signed in time. But the following year, we won the league and won the cup.
Well, of course, any self-respecting Scots will say it shouldn't have been Roma in that final. It should have been Dundee United. That would have been some game. Liverpool against Dundee United in the European Cup final. So the following season, you ended up becoming the club's top scorer ahead of Ian Rush, which is pretty impressive.
I bring that, to bring out 84, 85, and Rushy was always top goal scorer with, over 30 goals nearly every season. And when I came, he scored 20, I think it was 26 he scored, and I scored 27. So, to beat Ian Rush and, scoring from midfield again, I was back in the centre midfield, and that's probably why I scored all these goals, yeah.
Yeah, when you're looking at a Liverpool team as well, guys like Grobel, Hansel, Lawrence, Phil Neal still around, Mulby, Stevie Nicol, Ronnie Whelan, Dalglish.
Oh, it was a joy to play, you know. I mean, that's the reason I went there, because, you know, we were capable of beating anybody, you know, and just to be part of that squad. And, you know, as I say, I get in the team and, you know, scored the goals for them, which you know, because Souness was there for a little bit and then he went to Italy, and that was the reason I came along. And my first few years were good. It was just my end of my career when I had my injuries, you know, and I was in plaster with my leg. So when you get injured at any club, you know, you can't afford to get injured at Liverpool.
In 84, 85,
Yeah.
the club went on a run again in Europe, and you were scoring again in Europe. You scored against Lech Poznan, you scored against Panathinaikos.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the final. I don't think that's
No.
fair to do so. You started to pick the injuries, the double season,
Yeah.
and then Kenny took over.
Yeah.
I think it was Kenny that eventually kind of decided you wouldn't be a part of his plans.
Well, yeah, because I know Kenny well. We've known him all the time, and he knew I had my injuries, and he knew I wanted to play every week. You know what I mean? And he couldn't, you know, he couldn't actually say that. You know, at Liverpool, you shouldn't. You've got, you know, you can't be basically get games every week if you know you're not fully at it or not fully fit. And you know, I'd talk about, you know, maybe going back to Ipswich or elsewhere, and there's a few other teams sniffing, but he says, you've got another year of your contract. If you want to stay, you know, it's not a problem with it. If you want to play, you know, I'll sort you out with going to whatever club you want to go to. And that's when Ipswich come back from it. But I had a chance to go to sort of bigger clubs that, you know, who were in the, you know, the top league then, but Ipswich was in the league below. And in the end, I went back home. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting to see back home.
Yeah, that's how I call.
Yeah, it's clearly an affinity you've got with the town.
Yeah.
You ended up becoming the top scorer of the game when you came back to Ipswich, and this time I think Sergei Botacha was in Ipswich Town squad. What are your memories of Sergei?
He's another one. He came, you know, and you imagine somebody coming from, you know, Russia, he had to get settled, and he was a top player, and you don't play for your Soviet Union if you're, we actually played him out of position. We played him like a right back, you know what I mean? And he was a centre back. So he found it difficult, but he was a nice guy, but very, you know, he kept himself to himself. So he didn't actually do that well, in my opinion. He should have done better, you know what I mean?
Well, especially you ended up moving to Borough. Why did you?
Well, another thing was that just came along. I wasn't, you know, I had slight problems at home, you know, it was, you know, as I saying, but I went to Borough because, you know, I got offered a good deal. I know, but the thing was, it was a long way away again. You know what I mean? You go to Middlesbrough, it's like nearly, you know, the other side. Took a long time to get there. But I went there and I enjoyed my time I was there a year, you know what I mean? But I was there on my own, you know, my wife was back in Ipswich because we were having problems. And that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't stay that long, you know what I mean? I only stayed the one season.
So, well, you came back to Ipswich, but you were kind of trying to keep fit, you know, week to week deal. Well, that's it. You're finished. There's no way you can play for another 4 seasons.
I know. It was quite scary. I was the same. I was just training, keep myself fit, and then we went, you're looking okay, and then we went signing a week to week, and then a month to, and then I signed a year contract, and it just, in the end, no disrespect, I was one of the better players still at my age, you know, and in the end I played another, 3 seasons or 4 seasons or whatever, and, you know, the manager at the time was John Lyle, who was like old school, and he used to let me, I didn't have to train as much as the lads, you know what I mean? He just make sure I was fit for the matches, and that suited me down to ground, you know, and that's the way it happened for 2 or 3 years. A lot of the lads didn't like it, you know, the teammates, but I didn't train a lot. I just sort of played the games, and I was still as good as, you know, as most of them.
I mean, Ipswich won promotion.
Yeah.
Got up to Premier League. I think that was the inaugural season. And you mentioned it earlier about the photograph being taken for Sky. I think all the captains were taken together, the kind of famous photograph.
Yeah, it was a picture alive and kicking. It was the advert. We were running out, and I was the Ipswich Town player. I just, you know, run out the tunnel alive and kicking. But then there's a scene we were in a gym and we're all doing weights at the time, you know, different weights, and we're all, you see us all. But I've got to tell a story about where I'm lifting the weights. They actually put like water in my head to look as if you're sweating, and I'm doing the weights going, you know, up and down, but there's no weights on it. So I had to get the acting gear on again and give it the big. So it's quite funny. But I was the Ipswich Town player who was in that the Premiership advert in 1992.
The GIF actually raided me of something that I didn't even think of, but you must have been top of the pops in 82 for the World Cup.
Oh, yeah, yes. That was fantastic. People always talk about it, you know, and the thing was, when we went there, we went there early, you know, to do the rehearsals. It's on, you know, Top of the Pots is on at 7 o'clock, and we get there at 1 doing rehearsals, and we've done it all, and we're all relaxed then, because we had a few drinks in London, as you do. So we're all chilled out and we're all doing it, you know, doing the songs and all that. And then you wait till it goes on live when you come on again. And everything's fine. We're all singing the song, We Have a Dream, you know. B.A. Robertson was on it, and Gordon John Sinclair on it. Yeah. So he was on it. But the thing was with England didn't rehearse. They went straight on live, and they had the words up where they can read the words or sing the words, and we swapped them all over. It was quite funny. Yeah, it's a little story, but it was a great, when I see that song, a little bit, people go, "How you were on Top of the Pots," you know, and but we were so chilled, we'd it all, and I thought it was a great song, personally, you know.
Definitely, I think people still listen to it.
Yeah.
Again, so Ipswich managed to get as high as 4th in the Premier League at one point when you get promoted. I think it was a run of bad form.
Yeah.
Escaped relegation again. You were at age 37.
I know.
At age 37, you won the Player of the Year of Ipswich for the 4th time. And I haven't even talked about it. I skipped over what I should have done, but you were also PFA Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's the one.
Explain that.
Well, that was the PFA Player of the Year was because, you know, the year when I scored 36 goals and, you know, the whole season, 14 in Europe, which was a record. Altafini, equaled the record. And the thing was, the good thing, I always talk about that, you know, there was 6 nominees. I can't remember the 3 other players, but there was 3 Ipswich players nominated. It was Paul Mariner, who was 3rd and 2nd, and I won it, which was incredible. You know, we went to the Hilton Hotel to do it, and, you know, for 3 I don't think it's ever happened with 3 from the one team have come 3rd, 2nd and 1st. To win a thing like that with your fellow professionals vote for you, you know, it's something I always say it's probably the best thing I've won, you know, and I always think to do that, you've got to have some season, and that's what actually happened.
You also won a German award for the best young player in Europe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
you're the only Scotsman to ever won it.
Yeah, it's called a Young European Player of the Year, and that was quite amazing. I actually had to go to Italy to get the award, and I went out there, and I was there for a few days, and I think Paolo Rossi was in contention as well. That just shows you. But I won this Young European Player, and actually, because I was there for a few days, I had a chauffeur driving me about, but then he had this woman with him who was his missus, but she was Scottish and she was the translator. And I thought, this is funny. And then they even got me to play in a game, like a 8-a-side game somewhere, and I played in this game, part of it, and there was a crowd of 5,000-10,000 coming to watch it, and so I played this game, and because I was Young European Player of the Year, and it was, to get that award was incredible. But I always think the PFA award was always, PFA Player of the Year is always the best one.
Yeah.
Because your fellow professionals vote for you.
Yeah. I think the football writers one is also pretty good as well.
Yeah.
I think there's another Ipswich player that won the football season as well.
That's right. Because I was 2nd, I think, I thought whatever, but I think it was Franz Tyson that won it.
Well, you kept playing until you were nearly 40.
Yeah, exactly.
You had a testimonial against Arsenal. Huge club to come along. And you weren't quite a legend enough yet with Ipswich. You had to do one more thing to fully cement yourself as an Ipswich legend.
Right.
And you managed it. You get sent off against Norwich. So that was you.
Oh, that's the one, getting sent off. at Carroll Road, do you know what I mean? And I remember it because basically I was, wasn't the quickest player then, and it was Darren Eadie who was playing for Norwich, who's slightly quicker than me and slightly younger. And I actually always talk about it, the tackle. I tried to get him in the first half, but I was that late. I got him in the second, and I got a straight red, and that. But the worst thing, not getting sent off. We lost the game that day, but which I didn't lose many times, because even when I go to Norwich now, I get abused, because they hate me, because I've played the most derby games and I've scored the most goals against them. So when I go to Norwich, even shopping with the missus, I get pelters, you know what I mean? So I'm not they don't like me at all.
Because you think it's bad in Glasgow.
I know, exactly, mate.
Well, 611 appearances in a career. I mean, that's impressive, right? And a defensive midfielder getting 223 goals. It's unbelievable, John. Absolutely unbelievable. And obviously football's changed television coming in, but if you were playing, it's all stats based now. Right?
I know.
If you were playing now, you would be playing teams like Real Madrid would be fighting over you to try and get you. And that's
you think if you weren't drinking or anything, you weren't all this, and you're sort of getting fit and all that. So you're talking about playing in one of these big, so-called big clubs. I mean,
so we'll move on to probably something you're asked about near enough every day.
Yeah.
How did you become a Hollywood film star?
Well, basically it came from this chap in the movie business just came to Portman Road, knew Bobby Robson. It was Freddie Fields. He was a son. He came to the ground and sort of and Bobby Robson got all the players in the dressing room. And he calls us in. He says, and he's introduced to the Freddie Fields, and he says, "I'm looking for some soccer players to be in a movie. Am they interested?" And I put my hand up because I wasn't going on holiday that summer. So I went, me and 5 others put our hand up. And the next minute, we got told, "Oh, yeah, we're going out to play football in this movie." And I put my hand up. Bobby Robson agreed our fee at the time, which was decent. And we go out to Budapest, Hungary. Didn't know what was going on. Next minute, you see all these people, Bobby Moore, Michael Caine, Sylvester Stallone, Pele, Ozzy Ardiles, and all these people are in this movie. And the next minute, we're in all the scenes, and we were there for 5 weeks. And it was, as I say, we had a couple of lines. We thought we were just there to play football. We didn't realise we were in all the scenes and speaking parts and whatever. And it was the best 5 weeks, I've ever had. Imagine mingling with his person, Sylvester Stallone. He actually stayed in a different hotel from everybody. He thought he was bigger than everybody. You know what I mean? But he wasn't the cleverest, in my opinion, because when he was asked about the football, he says, "Can I score the winning goal?" And we went, "You're the goalkeeper. That doesn't happen." So he didn't realise that one. And as I say, in the end, he says, "Well, can I be the hero with saving a penalty?" And he did, but it took 8 takes before he actually saved it. But he wasn't one. He didn't mingle with anybody, but the rest of the people, like Michael Caine, Bobby Moore, Pele, the best player in the world, they're all together with us, and it was one of the best 5 weeks I've ever had.
What was Michael Caine like?
Very friendly, talked about his movies, and he's sitting with you having his drink and just chilling out. He'd one of them, and everybody's in awe, what he's done, you know what I mean? And then you get Pele and Mike Summerby, Ozzy Ardiles, and other famous players from different countries. And we're all together for that period, and it's the best. But I've got to tell the story as well. Everybody wants to know. I actually had 2 lines in the movie, and the 2 lines were, "I'll take the top bunk," and the other one was, "It's better than playing for Manchester." So after we'd finished the movie and we go to the premiere, months later and all that, and I'm in watching it in Ipswich, and I'm with Alan Brazil and Eric Gates, and we're sitting in there, and I go to them. This is the bit where it comes me to speak my 2 lines. I says, "I'm on in a bit," and the next minute I go, it's me coming up, and I went, "That's not my voice." It was a posh Scottish accent, you know what I mean? So I actually had 2 lines in the movie, and I was dubbed. So that was my claim to fame. But everybody always laugh about, how can you get dubbed, 2 lines?
What was it like with Pele? Because you would have been like growing up when Pele was the world superstar. It must have been a bit like for somebody bumping into Messi. How did you? Were you able to act professional? John Wark who played for?
So no. The thing was, everybody was in awe of him. You know what I mean? But I think he was in his sort of 40s, like maybe 45 or something. But he was so brilliant. Like some of the things he did before we played the game, we were playing piggy in the middle with famous player, and he's putting the ball through our legs, and you imagine we knew what he was like when he was a player, but he still had ability, and he was such a nice guy, and he had so much respect, because Bobby Moore always played against him, and yeah, he was such a great guy, and to be in the same room or even beside him, you never forget things like that.
Because you used to try to direct him mad, because if you give any footballer a football and just start playing football,
Yeah.
he's trying to like choreograph the scenes and stuff. Did you drive him mad by just kicking the ball down?
Yeah, no, plus then, the famous goal we got, he scored the overhead kick, didn't he? And to do that, I thought it would take about 8 takes before somebody crosses it, and then you do an overhead and it goes in the top corner. He had 1 take. He actually went in first time, and everybody just couldn't believe. And that was Pele when he's retired at such his age. To score a goal like that was, I've never, 1 take, it should never happen. You know what I mean?
Nowadays they use kind of computer effects.
Yeah, wait, no.
Well, to generate a crowd.
Oh, the crowd, yeah.
How many people were actually there? But
No.
it looked like a lot of people.
Well, that's what the thing was. It was at a Hungarian club stadium, and they had so many, just a quarter of the stadium, or not even that, and they kept moving them round to do different scenes, so you could just see. So it wasn't, the whole stadium wasn't, busy or anything. It was only just at the amount, so you could just see it one bit.
Did you ever end up playing against any of the players who were in the kind of allied team? Because like we talked about Ozzy Ardiles, he was still playing.
Yeah.
You did him, Halvor Tolson, I think he was still, would have been playing at the time. Did you ever actually come up against any of them for real?
No, Ozzy I've come up against, for that, and I wasn't old enough to play against Bobby Moore and whatever, but the other foreign boys, I'd never played against them, yeah. But it was the best 5 weeks I've ever had, you know what I mean? And everybody people forget my football, they always come up and go, don't talk about it crazy, you were in that movie, you know what I mean? They always say that, and it's a good thing to have.
Did you, Bobby Moore was there as well?
Yeah.
I take it you'd have shaken hands with him.
Yeah.
Did you check your wrist afterwards to see if he'd stolen your watch?
No, he wasn't quite. Bobby was such a nice. He was, you're in awe of these people. You know what I mean? When you're there, Bobby Moore, captain of England, and he was such a nice guy as well. He was hanging about with Mike Summerby, because they were mates as well, and he was a great lad as well, Manchester boy. But as I say, it was a privilege to be in it, and as I said, we had a great time.
Well, I think one of the proudest moments for any Scot is to watch the closing credits.
Oh no,
flashes up Wark Scotland.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that for the first time, and I was over the moon.
Yeah,
a Scottish player.
I know. That's what's good how they do it with the Brazil, and to be Scotland, and it's. As I say, a lot of people sort of just want me to talk about that a lot, and it was a privilege to be, I came along as part of an Ipswich town team, and, it was just lucky to be in it, and I'm glad I was.
Well, you mentioned Bobby being captain of Ipswich Town, and there was another captain of Ipswich Town that ended up living your boyhood dream of lifting trophies for Rangers. So I think it'd be hard if we don't touch on Terry Butcher.
Yeah. I know, I always say that. I always say you lucky person. You know what I mean? I've been dreaming about playing for Rangers, and it's never happened, and as I said, I tell a story, I played against Rangers for Ipswich. It was the opening of a testimonial in the 80s, and we won 2-1, and guess who scored? All my family were in the director's box, mum and dad, brothers, sisters, the way back in the 80s. And as I say, we won 2. I scored both goals. So I came out after the game, my family didn't talk to me. And that's surely a friendly. And that just sums it up, you know what I mean? But as I say, it's always dreamt about playing for them. But yeah, and I was lucky enough, only last, few months ago, I went to the Rangers game and they lost at Aberdeen, but I get shown round the ground, which I'd never seen, you know what I mean, the stadium and everything. It was, all the trophies in the old days, and really enjoyed it.
I used to absolutely hate Teddy Butcher because he was captain of England.
Yeah.
He was captain of the Rangers.
Yeah.
And then once he started getting into management, and I started kind of doing the press stuff, I passed by him. I drove past him as he was walking out. He saw me and gave me a wave. So one nice man.
Yeah.
I'm just
I know.
ruined 20 years of age.
No, he is such a nice guy. No, I'm not. Big Boots came through the youth team with me, and we were close. He still lives in the Ipswich area, and we see each other a lot. And I always wind up, about the Rangers. How did you get in the Rangers when I've been, I can't get in it. You know what I mean? But he's a good lad.
Right, we're going to end this podcast with fast fire round.
Oh,
who's the best opponent you ever faced? What player's the best opponent?
Maradona.
No,
That was Maradona when it was his debut at Argentina against Scotland in a friendly when they came.
79.
Yes, I've never seen it. There's a picture in my book where I've volleyed him above the waist, and he starts laughing at me.
My son always asks, who's the best player ever? And the answer's just Maradona. It just is.
I know.
Right. Who's the best teammate you've ever had?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I think overall, the best defender was Kevin Beattie, because he only played till he was 27, but he was at Ipswich, and he had so many injuries, but he was the best. But the best player, I always say, is Kenny Dalglish. I was lucky enough to play home in Scotland and Liverpool.
What's the best goal you've ever scored?
Actually scored a lot of goals, everyone, but I scored an overhead kick against Man United at home, which was quite interesting.
Was that inspired by Pelé?
Well, it didn't take as many takes as...
What was the best stadium you've ever played at?
Probably, I was lucky enough when I played in the Nou Camp, Barcelona, and went to penalties, and luckily I scored my penalty there, but we get knocked out in penalties.
Okay, what's your favourite nickname for a teammate?
Nickname? Oh, do you know what they call me? Jink. That was my nickname. It was from Liverpool. I don't know where I got it from, because I think it was when I used to play cards. And one time I meant to say 3 jacks, and I said 3 jinks. And Alan Hansen and all them, every time I go to Liverpool, you all right, Jink? My missus, people don't really know what I'm talking about.
We talked about the stuff on the tunnel. What's the best insult or the funniest insult you've ever heard on the pitch?
And I think the worst ones is when at Anfield, you know what I mean? When you come out at Anfield, there's a sign, this is Anfield, and you touch it, and we always touch it, and a couple of other teams tried to touch it, and we actually stopped, and there was nearly a fight before the game. So that's the one that sort of, things like that.
And what's your favourite crowd chant you ever heard?
Crowd chant? Oh, there was one when I was playing I'd left Liverpool and I was playing with Ipswich, and I went back to Liverpool and I was centre back, and somebody shot, and I'm at the cop end, centre back, and it got me right in the Niagaras, and they started singing, high pitched voice, Johnny Wark, Johnny Wark. That was one of the funniest and one of the quickest, and that's from the cop end.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of the CSI Football Podcast. I would like to thank John Wark not only for being a fantastic footballer for Scotland, also for helping in the fight to win the war against the Nazis in his 1940s. The biggest takeaway we can take from this episode, Scotland haven't won a European trophy since 1984, and the secret seems to be for European success is to have 6 pints in the afternoon before the game. So John, thank you for joining us. Join us next week for another forensic journey into the annals of Scottish football. Our website is at csi.com, where you can find all our socials and our back episodes. So until next week, goodbye.